going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now,
Jimothy.
So ladies and gents, I think we are all in agreement when we say that Raidraptors is definitely one of the top rogue decks in this format. Now, it's a little bit weird to call it rogue because I feel like it's a little bit stronger than that, but with the prevalence of like Snake Eye Fire Kings and just pure Snake Eye, most of the decks in the meta kind of fall into that category just because that deck does so much. But this deck definitely does go some way in addressing that strategy. So without wasting any more time, ladies and gents, let's get into my list. Now, before I start, I will say I've played this deck a total of 3 times now at events. I did take it to an OTS. Didn't do too hot with it, but that was my initial time at playing it. I've took it to my last 2 locals, and out of like 8 rounds, I've lost once. Which is absolutely crazy. This deck just it does so much, and because it's a little bit more of a what's the word that I'm looking for? More of a niche strategy. Not many people know what the cards do, and that definitely plays into your advantage because they've got so many extenders to be able to just facilitate what they're trying to do, as well as push through boards, as well as just obliterate your opponent. So let's just get into the list. Let's not waste any more time, ladies and gents. So starting us off, we are on the triple Raidraptor Tribute Lanius. This card is nice. Has 2 effects. I'm not going to go over every single effect, but I think this card's relevant mainly because it's got 1800 attack. It can Foolish Burial a card. Also, if it beats over a monster in main phase 2, it can search a rank up magic spell, which is a little bit of a hidden effect. And the reason why I bring up its attack is because it's got 18. Now, typically, SP Little Knight is a little bit weaker than that. So you can normal summon this into a board, beat over SP Little Knight, activate its effect to dump, and then search a rank up spell card, which is absolutely crazy. You get so much value off this card. Really, really strong, and definitely a free of. What is also a free of, which is also very, very pricey at the moment, Raidraptor Strangle Lanius. This is a nice extender. Can special summon itself if you control a dark monster. Can also special summon one from the graveyard, depending on whether or not you've got an XYZ with a dark XYZ material. Crazy card. Definitely a 3 of as well. Another 3 of, which I've seen some lists played less than this, but I'll be honest, this card is just absolutely crazy. And the reason why you play it at 3 is because if you make your Raiders Knight or you make your Balloon Vulture with it, sorry, not Balloon Vulture, your rank 5 XYZ, you can actually just prevent it from being targeted, which is probably the type of interaction that can potentially stop your turn, which just helps to just negate that straight away. So you can also insulate most of your plays by doing this and using a Raiders Wing, and it's an extender as well. If you've got an XYZ monster on field, you can detach a material and special summon this card from hand or graveyard, which is busted. Gets banished when it leaves the field, but we all know that it's going to get overlaid anyway, ladies and gents. Onto the new card, Balloon Vulture. This card, again, busted. Another extender. You can send this off Tribute Lanius, depending on the status of your board. Special summon itself from the hand by revealing itself in another Raidraptor monster, or just itself, but it special summons 2 basically. And it can also use this effect from the graveyard if you control no monsters, which is, again, it's just absolutely busted. Helps you to play without a normal summon. Definitely a 3 of, in my opinion. Another card that kind of divides opinion is Fuzzy Lanius, because I'm playing Raidraptor Pure, ladies and gents, I can go ahead and add this card in. This card locks you into Raidraptor monsters the turn that you use any of its effects. It extends itself if you control a Raidraptor monster or only Raidraptor monsters. And then when it gets sent to the graveyard, you can add another copy of itself. So really, really good in terms of resources. Again, you probably won't be able to play this in less of a pure build, but in this build where we're going pure, not a problem. 2 more of the new support, Noir Lanius. This, again, just facilitates the rank 5 play. You can banish this from graveyard to make all the levels of increase or decrease the levels of your Raidraptor monsters by 1. And when it's summoned, as a trigger effect, you can target a Raidraptor monster, including itself, and add a Raidraptor monster with a lower level. Typically, you're going to be adding one of the non-rank 4 Raidraptor monsters, because typically we're only playing 4s, apart from the 2 targets for Noir Lanius. Also, Mimicry Lanius, this card's nice. You just need to get this into the graveyard. You could potentially put Foolish Burial in here to be able to just dump it and play that way. But I've kind of gone with 43 cards just because I wanted to see some of the non-engine, which I'll go through in a moment, ladies and gents. But this is nice. You can potentially get away with one because you can recycle this fairly easily. So that is something to consider, ladies and gents, if you want to kind of like reduce the deck count. But I found 2's not too much of a problem because I'm playing 43. I never ever see both of them at the same time. Another couple extenders, you've got the Raidraptor Painlanius and Heel Eagle. Painlanius is probably a little bit better. It can extend itself if you've got a Raidraptor monster on field, and it becomes a level 4, which is nice. Heel Eagle is nice. It's a bit of an extender. It can also banish itself to add a Raidraptor spell or trap from graveyard back to hand, which is really, really nice in this deck. We don't play too many targets, hence why we're only playing one Heel Eagle. And it's a level 3, which is a little bit conflicting with what we're trying to do in this deck, which is basically make rank 4s to facilitate what we're doing. But still strong cards, definitely play them at 1, probably no more than that. And for another extender, we're playing Triple Simo Bird of Perfection. This, again, 1800 attack, SP Little Knight is everywhere. So it doesn't trigger Promethean Princess because it's a normal summon, which is another nice little bit of an interaction right there. So when you summon a Winged Beast monster, you can reveal this card in hand and then normal summon a Sigmar monster, which is itself basically. It's a Dark Winged Beast level 4, and it doesn't trigger Promethean. It's 1800 attack, lovely extender. What more can be said? And then for the spells and traps, we don't play too many. We've got Rise Rank Up Magic Raidraptor's Force. This basically gets you into the rank 13. You have to do a little bit of maths, but yeah, very, very simple and straightforward. We've also got Raidraptor's Roost. This is like Prank Kid Pranks, basically, but better. So you can search a spell or trap when Raidraptor extra deck monster special summon from the extra deck to the field. And then at any point you want, you can just shuffle back in 3 Raidraptor monsters that are in the graveyard or banished and draw a card, which is crazy because we play so many non-engine. This has drawn me into Ashes, Veilers, like Imperms, Nibs. It's busted, absolutely busted. And then for the one trap target, we've got Raidraptor Glorious Bright. If you've got an XYZ monster on field, you can quick effect target a card on field, negate its effects. So I've had a couple of players just go straight to battle phase and try and drop evenly match. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Chain, Raidraptor Glorious Bright, negate evenly match. And they're like, oh, okay. Main phase 2. And then once they get to main phase 2, ladies and gents, unless they've got something that can out a couple of towers, like, it's more or less going to be game from there on out. So this card is nice. I tend to side this out going second as well, just because obviously you just want gas going second. You just want to be able to put up a board. But it is very, very nice. And you can search it off Raidraptor Roost, which is busted. Or you could say it off the new rank 5, which just makes this deck so flexible. Very, very easy to play through Droll in this deck, ladies and gents. Especially if you've got your initial search. Now, for the non-engine, this is where things get spicy. I was talking to one of my friends and I explained to him, like, this deck reminds me of Math Mech, where you need like 1 to 2 cards to combo off. And then you just got a bunch of hand traps. But this deck's better in the sense that it puts up a towers. You've got a couple of interactions on field as well as a couple of interactions in the back row. And then obviously you got your hand traps. So in terms of hand traps, playing Triple Veiler, targeted negation is good at the moment, ladies and gents, in my opinion. There's a lot of things that are happening in the main phase, and Snake Eyes tend to put a lot of things on field and try and get them to resolve. So having a targeted negation that can affect things on field, I think is very, very, very beneficial. So that's why I've gone for the Triple Veiler as well as the Triple Infinite Impermanence. I've also gone for a bit of a contentious one in Triple Nibiru. I'm not too sure about this because it kind of messes up your own plays. Some hands can play with Nibiru on field, whereas other hands can't really play with Nibiru on field. You kind of like need a field of Raidraptor monsters only to get some of your extenders off. But I feel like when it's paired with some of the other cards that you've got in here, it's a no-brainer. Like, you can put yourself into a position where you've let your opponent burn a load of resources, you nib them, you might have a Veiler or an Ash, and they're down on cards. Now, you won't be able to combo fully. However, you'll still be able to put up something on field and then potentially like draw into more hand traps, or even just go full combo, depending on what card you've got. So very, very strong card. Yeah, it's a little bit hit and miss in this deck. 3 Ash Blossom. I was actually thinking about taking this out and putting in Ghost Mourner, which is a little bit of a consideration, to be honest. I'm not saying Ash is a bad card, but it doesn't do enough by itself. But because we play so many hand traps, it kind of works in this deck, because if you see this in combination with any of the other traps, you can like legitimately stop your opponent's turn. So triple Ash Blossom, yeah, it's strong in combination, just not by itself, ladies and gents. Oh yeah, I forgot to miss that. This Raidraptor Rank Up Magic Skip Force, that should have been with the Raidraptor Engine, but this basically allows you to go into your Arsenal Falcon off the new rank 5. Then just to finish off, ladies and gents, we're playing the double Droll and Lockbird as well as the one Core by the Grave. Now, I did actually have talents in this slot, and I also had the other Droll and Lockbird in this slot, but I'm a little bit conflicted as to what to play. But I decided to go with the Core by the Grave, mainly because of the flexibility of it. Now, we all know what Fire Kings are doing at the moment, and then having Core by the Grave allows you to kind of like play offensively and defensively, because you can just negate something in the graveyard. You can get rid of a princess, for example. You can get rid of the Flamberge. It's really, really strong. So I quite like Core by the Grave. It could be something else, but we're on 43 cards. I was thinking, I'm not too sure about talent, and you can actually side this out going second or first, depending on what you want to do, ladies and gents. So yeah, just Core by the Grave there. And that's it for the main deck, ladies and gents. I believe it's like 43 cards, so it's definitely something that you can toy around with. If you wanted to get it down to an even 40, you could potentially take out a Mimicry Lanius as well as the Core by the Grave, and potentially a Fuzzy Lanius, and you can just roll with the 2, and then that will get you down to 40. But yeah, I quite like it how it is. I've only bricked once, which is why I lost one of those games, ladies and gents, and that was in my most recent locals where I went X1. So yeah, if it weren't for that brick, who knows what would have happened. But anyway, onto the extra deck. 2 Wise Tricks. You tend to go through this a lot. You can actually recycle it. It's really, really easy to do so. Set a rank up magic from deck when a Raidraptor XYZ monster activates its effect. That's mandatory. So it triggers even if you've got no targets in your deck, it still triggers. So just bear that in mind, ladies and gents. It also can special summon a Raidraptor monster from your deck, and its effects are negated. Solid card, not much more to say. Next, triple Force Tricks. You go through 2 sometimes. Sometimes you'll go through all 3. Easily recyclable. Yeah, just a solid card. Searches any winged beast. So yeah, it actually searches some old monster, which is crazy. We've also got double Raiders Knight. Excuse the mixed rarities. I actually found my other Ultra. This card is in combination with Raider's Wing. It's actually silly. I actually OTK'd a Kashtira player because they just special summoned, well, say they summoned 4 Kashtira monsters onto the field, and then I used this in conjunction with Raider's Knight to go into Arc Rebellion XYZ Dragon, which I do have in this list. Let me just get it out for you. Yeah, there it is. To go into this, which is absolutely crazy, and this just OTK'd my opponent, just hit him for like all the damage. It was silly, but Raider's Knight is solid. It is a little bit of a choke point. Your opponent might hit this, or they might hit the rank 5 that it makes, so you need to keep that in mind. I like to play Raider's Knight very, very sparingly. If I'm in a clutch situation, I'm just going for it. But if I know that I've got Raider's Wing or I've got access to it, I'll try and get the Raider's Wing on field first, depending on what my hand is saying, and then do it. Nibiru isn't so much of a problem in this deck, but it is at the same time. Because you play the pure version, you kind of need your field to just be wing beast monsters, which can kind of mess you up in certain situations, especially if you've got like Balloon Vulture in the graveyard. So yes, worth keeping in mind, ladies and gents. Right, the new card, Raidraptor Brave Strix. I was actually running this at 2 at one stage, but we don't have too many targets for it. This card kind of like just kind of connects the deck all together now. Can search a rank up magic spell, or it can set a Raidraptor spell or trap straight from the deck. So in certain situations where you get drolled, you can actually play under droll with this card, which is just, it's nice. It's a nice feeling. 1 Arsenal Falcon. If you make this on your 5th summon, just know that you're definitely getting at least 1 towers out. Because if this leaves the field with XYZ materials, that's what brings out your big bad Ultimate Falcon, which is this guy right here. Do you know what? For all the years I've been playing Ultimate Falcon, I didn't even know that it had a secondary effect. I just thought, all right, it's unaffected by card effects, but it actually reduces your opponent's monster's attack by 1,000 during the end phase. But if your monster doesn't have an attack, it burns for 1,000. But what's the most busted thing about it is you can detach a material and your opponent cannot activate cards or effects for the rest of the turn. So if you see this, if you keep this unfilled with the material to the following turn, you've literally won the game, ladies and gents, because your first action is to activate this. It's unaffected by card effects. Depending on the status of your field, you probably got the other towers on field, so there's not really much they can do. They could chain, I don't know, infinite impermanence onto your Y streaks, something of that nature. But literally, it just says no more Yu-Gi-Oh for your opponent. I'm gonna kill ya, which is crazy. It's crazy thinking about that. I didn't even realize it could do that until I started playing this deck properly. And I've had this core for 3 years. Something like that. That's why I've got like the highest rarity, because I had it when nobody really knew what it was doing and it was making calamity. Next, we've got one Raidraptor Satellite Cannon Falcon. This is interesting in combination with this because depending on some of the lines that you go through, sometimes you'll need to be able to go into this and then you'll have this in graveyard, which then can make the rank 13, and which we do play 2 of, ladies and gents. We play 2 Rising Rebellion Falcon, which is really, really nice. So sometimes you need the Satellite Cannon Falcon alongside the Brave Strix to be able to go into the second copy of this, which is very easily done. It also nukes your opponent's field. Sorry, it's spell and trap cards basically, and your opponent can't activate cards or effects in response to it. So it literally just wipes the board. So against Labyrinth players, which aren't a few and far between at the moment, this just obliterates it. And then the final card in the extra deck, ladies and gents, is Evil Swarm Nightmare. So why am I playing this card? So I put this in because of Dimension Shifter. So if I get shifted and I haven't used Fuzzy's effect, which locks you into Raidraptor monsters the turn that you use its effect, I'll make Evil Swarm Nightmare. You do get locked into darks in this deck, but as you can see, most of the cards that we run, or all of the cards that we run in the extra deck, are dark monsters, so it's never really an issue. But this is just a Book of Moon, because the decks that are going to be playing Shifter are going to be like Fluendaries and what is it now, Kashtira. So especially with Kashtira, you can just book a monster, and a lot of what they can do is struggle. Especially if you book, like, I don't know, you book a unicorn on summon and it can't search for like birth or something along those lines. So it's just a contingency. This could be Baguska, but with SP Little Knight in the format, I just feel like Baguska's a little bit more vulnerable, whereas this can just book a monster, like, and your opponent 9 times out of 10 is going to be special summoning. So Evil Swarm Nightmare's turn on, and it's not a once per turn as well, so you can literally book 2 monsters on your opponent's turn. So it's a nice thing to have. And that is it, ladies and gents. I'm not going to go through the side deck because it's still under construction, to be honest. There's still a few things that I feel like need to be thrashed out and included, so definitely look at that for in the future. And what I will say is, if we manage to get 10 likes on this video, I would definitely do a combo video or combo tutorial about some of the things you can do, because even to my last tournament that I went to, I was able to do a combo that still ended on the rank 13, and I played through like maybe 2 or 3 points of interruption or interactions, and I didn't realize at the time how I got there until I sat down afterwards and was like, no way, I can just actually play through this and still facilitate some kind of board. So 10 likes, I'll do a combo tutorial for you, ladies and gents, and just show you what I've learned with the deck so far. But anyway, we find ourselves at the end of another video. As always, if you do like this content, you know what to do by now. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that beautiful good stuff, and I will definitely see you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.